Ladies and gentlemen, kindly note this is the release of the volume on development challenges.
This book is a collection of research papers that were presented during the 3rd NITTE International Conference held on 29th and 30th of December 2012. And this book has been edited by me with the cooperation of Dr. Vanishri Joseph and Professor Jnaneshwar Pai. As a brief overview of the genesis of this book, let me inform you all that last year for the international conference we had received 193 papers from all around the world, out of which 110 papers were presented during the conference. And after the conference was over, we decided to publish these research articles so that we could disseminate the good thoughts and the discussions held in the conference to the larger society. After several rounds of review and deliberations, we selected 12 research papers for the publication in the form of this book. Of course, most of the papers were of good quality and they addressed a diverse set of issues in the developmental paradigms. It was a really tough decision for us to zero in on 12 papers. But at the same time, let me also remind you that some of the research papers had been published in the previous issues of NMR, and some may find a place in the future issues of NMR, depending on the quality. In this book, we have made a humble attempt to bring out the research papers that address the most relevant and complex issues regarding development and certain issues that are prevailing in our society today. The foreword for this book, or an encouraging foreword for this book, has been written by our director, Dr. Shankaran. And the articles begin with the keynote address, article based on a keynote address by Professor Lucas Meges of Netherlands, where he talks about scaling up thinking as well as the attempt to define the non-profit sector. Dr. Thingara's valedictory address, which addresses or which brought out the contradictions in the Indian economy, is also part of this book. In their article, Dr. Thomas McLaughlin and Edward Keller, they bring out the impact of policy implications on home ownership and wealth accumulations in America. We have an article from Uganda wherein Dr. George Bate and Isel Da Silva give an overview of the entrepreneurial capacity, government intervention, and diffusion of technology in Uganda while evaluating or while comparing the supply side of modern energy and mobile telephony technologies. The next article that we have in this book is a critical article on the role played by small-scale enterprises in Nigeria by Dr. Joy Ugu and Elizabeth. The article by Dr. Paul Jung and Dr. Ravi Kumar describe how in the last few years or last few decades, Korea has transformed culture and science into capital that is capable of generating streams of income. Now, after presenting all this international perspective, this book also contains the articles that address various issues in Indian society. In an article by Umesh Maya and Venkatram Bhatt of Kundapur, financial literacy amongst women in India and how crucial it is in empowering their thinking and their role in the society has been beautifully narrated. The success story of women collectives has been presented by Dr. Sudha Koranginaya. By taking 4 success stories of women-managed enterprises, Dr. Ganesh Bhatt advocates for the use of knowledge and technology for empowerment rural women. Dr. Vasumati Shetty, Pushpalata and Sunita examines the local development practices that empower women by evaluating the role of a project called Jnana Vikasa Yojana. The importance of secondary income, especially in the poorer household, is highlighted by an article by Professor Radhakrishna Bhatt. There's an interesting research done by a young student called Justin Thomas from Kerala about the impact of special Gram Sabhas for the physically handicapped people and school children in reducing the socio-economic exclusion. While Priya Shetty examines the relationship between status of health of women and children across different age groups in India, Professor Raghavendra Rao and Dr. Basil Hans argue that Millennium Development Goals cannot be achieved by the usual top-down approach or policies, but by the people at the bottom of the pyramid who adopt appropriate goals as individual and household values. The publication of this book owes expression of gratitude to many. The successful organization of this conference has been due to the support and guidance of Sri Vinay Hegde, President of NIT Education Trust, and his vision and philosophy has been the main source of inspiration for all of us. The scholarly guidance of Dr. N.K. Thingalaya, Dr. M.S. Muritaya, and Dr. N.S. Shetty has been invaluable in conceiving and implementing the whole idea of the international conference, and we owe a huge debt of gratitude to them. We would also like to thank Professor Shankaran, Director of our institute, immensely for his constant support and valuable inputs in bringing out this book. And Dr. Joshi, Professor of our institute, deserves special thanks for his valuable advice and intellectual inputs. The success of this conference and the subsequent publication has been the result of quality participation and of the researchers and their intellectual contributions. The editorial team would like to thank all the contributors of articles for their support, and we would be failing in our duty if we don't thank the entire team of JKSHM, including teaching and non-teaching staff, for their constant support and assistance. As editors, we believe that this book would be useful for researchers, policymakers, and also academicians. And this book also, we believe, that will open up new vistas for research in the area of development. Thank you one and all, and wish you a happy reading.